this shovel. I'm Zachary Fowler, winner of Alone Season 3, and you're watching 87 Days, the complete reenactment of all I did out on Alone in Patagonia, but as if I did it here in Maine. What I do differently this time, next time, all that. And today you're watching episode 13. We're gonna build the first trap that I made out there in Patagonia around, I think it was around week 1. It's a pit trap with spikes.
Put some bamboo spears in here. I got the spike pit dug and covered lightly.
And to improve upon that idea, I added a big log with a trigger system that would come down and squish whatever I caught there, which was, I was hoping for a boar. And so let's do it, let's build it. All right, this looks like a good spot. Out there in Patagonia, I have my trail that went up and over the hillside. And initially I walked these like boar trails that went over the hillside. And there were some steep spots, and that's why I added that 150 steps to get over the 8 stories where my shelter would be built in the end that I stayed at the whole time. So one spot though stuck out as, it looks like a good spot for a trap. And because it came as you're coming down the hill, there was a big log, it's kind of like this. And you could see the game trail coming along, then going over the log. You can see the wear of all the hoof prints pounding the log into pulp, and then it went down. And that drop off of the other side of the log right here, that went down, and the ground being up higher here, I had the idea of adding a pit on the other side. So when they go to land where they expect to land, boom, they sink in further and drive themselves onto some bamboo spikes. I'll put a little clip of what that looked like out there here.
Pit trap on the other side of that log right there. Just being a pig. I don't want to go that way. Oh, here's a log. I jump over the log. Boom.
And so let's set up. I'm gonna cut some spikes, dig a little bit more of a hole here to add to it, and then I'll show how I built a tripod and modified it so that I had a log that would ensure the end of whatever fell in the spike pit, and pin it even further onto the spikes, ensuring that nothing got away. You see me pawing through the soil here. It's out of habit. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And I was like, well, I should tell you why. Looking for grubs and worms. I try to do everything I do as useful. Since a lot of my strategy consumes a lot of calories, taking a chance on getting the big win, you know, the big load of fish or the big animal. So I'm always digging. When I'm digging, I'm always digging in mind to find grubs and worms, because out there, every step I dug into that hillside found me 3 to 5 grubs and worms. That's 5 baited hooks that were out there fishing and doing their job for me. Well, here's a little something. Not much. All right, there we have it. Hole is the depth of the shovel. The spikes are gonna sit at this level here, or I could make sticks go across here and so the spikes sit up here, which is probably a better bet. I wanted the spikes to be basically 6 inches longer than the length I thought the legs of the boar were. Now I thought there were smaller boar out there. Out there I dug a bigger hole. I think it probably was 3 times the size of this, where it came over the log, and maybe 6 inches deeper. But since our victim today is just a pumpkin that we're gonna test this on so you can see what it does, this is more than enough. This is for survival. And there is nowhere that I know of in the United States where this is permissible. So if you actually do this, you need to do it, not walk away from it. Use it on a watermelon or a stuffed animal, and then disassemble it safely so that it's not, so you don't catch the neighbor's cat or something and get yourself in big trouble. So got the spikes, let's install them. Now were I actually doing this and not hunting pumpkin today as to test it out on, I would shave each one of these clean. The bamboo was slick like that. It was, you cut an end on it with a shovel, one whack, razor sharp, and then you stick it in there and it's ready to go. But these, the bark and the nubs that are sticking up, you'd want to clean all of that off. I'd want each one of these to be like an arrow, you know, as straight as possible, as smooth as possible, to give me as much chance of success as possible, so that when the animal comes down onto it, and I'm going to angle them this way in the direction that it's coming down, because you don't want them to come this way and then they kind of land like that and brush them over. Alright, so I got my spikes in. I'm going to tamp around them so that they're firm as possible and each of their holes set in the position they're going to be in so they don't collapse over. And the animal jumps onto them, or in this case, the pumpkin. So this is kind of what it would look like just as the spikes if the covering was off and an animal came along. Up onto the log, over the log, and whoa, spikes. Pretty lethal just as it is. Like out there I had a tripod, a teepee I built on the other side of the log that held my deadfall. But I look over here and I got this nice little sapling here. And I remember Robert Foss saying how blessed it is to be a bender of birches like kids did. And I remember doing that when I was a kid. So I'm gonna climb this, bend it over, and I'll be able to hang my deadfall weight from that. So. Whew, just missed the spike pit. All right, so we got our, what we call 7 sticks, or at least the British call them that. You can use these for many traps. And I did out there, I used them for snares, things like that. None of which caught me anything because all the animals leave the upper mountains during the winter. So we're gonna set these, and basically the line comes from your dead weight or your snare and comes down around this stick that these are gonna pin in place. And a toggle sits here, and then we have another stick coming across. Let's set it up. It'll be easier to show you than to talk your ear off about it. Now I grabbed a bunch of these because, especially depending on your weight, you know, the heavier your weight, that might be 50 pounds of pressure trying to pull these out of the ground. And I want this dead weight, or my snare, if it's set against the system, to be held up. Held up. So you see what I got going on here? I got this stick under here and pinned by the 7 sticks in place. And then this is gonna go across. And so I need a stick, that will do, right here, to put the toggle holder stick into. Technical terms here. Get real technical. Got my paracord. And a giant mess as always. You want to see how to handle rope and not have it tangled in a big mess, which I've never managed to do. Look at Dan Walwack's channel, Cold Cracker Bushcraft. Man, that guy, he knows everything about anything when it comes to, you know, how to coil your cord so you could toss it and it unravels into one straight line. Unreal. Alright, so I've made a toggle, and this is going to be what the trip stick is attached to. When the animal nudges this and this falls free, that deadfall is going to fall on them. It's just a little stick I've split. And this is, at the other end is the dead weight. So it goes right here, comes around under this piece. Actually, I might do it this way. Comes, yeah, that way though, and you step down on it. So when you step, the stick goes against it here and locks it in place. I'll get it closer up. So the stick goes here and locks it in place. When this stick is stepped on, boom, it comes free. Got my trusty, the Swiss tool of the spirit. Incidentally, if you haven't seen it yet, check out my Fowler video about my unlocking a car with a Swiss Army knife hack. The Swiss Army actually sent me a message and said they want to work together after seeing the video. So I guess I did a good job. Didn't get very many views, but I think it was one of my best works, where I turned into MacGyver. All right, here it is. All set. Weight's pulling on it, animal comes along, boom, toggles free, dead weight comes down. Alright, this is where you want to be careful. When you're setting this, I've done it a bunch, so I didn't do it this time. But a lot of times I will set a second line so that it's still hanging by like 2 inches. So if it does fall, it's tied off, it'll fall 2 inches, and then when I'm done, I untie that one. Because setting this, you want to keep yourself away from underneath of it. It would hurt. It falls on your head, and if you're out there alone, that might be the end of your adventure. So. You can always tie a second line that went up and over, and I could have run it to a tree over here, and then when I go to set it, I pull it up 1 or more inch, set my trigger system, and then when I'm done, I can reach up and untie that one gently, and it's all set up. So now we're gonna cover it up. We're gonna go get our pumpkin victim and try it out. Something else I forgot to mention is my stick that goes across here. If you notice, it doesn't go down in once it sets the trap off. So to fix that, in the past I've used split sticks or other things. I'm just gonna go simple this way. I'm gonna make a series of halfway through cuts so that when the weight does land on it, it just breaks itself into 3 or 4 pieces. They'll still be strong enough to hold the straight across because the direction of forces are going this way on it. But when something falls on it that way, it'll break in 3 places. So I'm gonna add some cuts. Nothing. Additionally, when you're building something like this, you do a lot of funneling too. The Patagonia, the trails were pretty narrow and the bamboo was so dense I didn't have to do any funneling, which is good. Because the more funneling you do, which is basically you go along, this is my game trail right here. Goes over the log and I want them to go right there. So what I would do is I would take, in a place like this, I would take sticks and place them in and make a row. So it's literally like a cone shape coming into where you want it to be. I might even go up further and put some impediments and some brush to block off the trail over there, another one over there, so they all kind of naturally come this way. Too much of it is scary for an animal. They're like, this isn't natural. And then too little, and then they just go around whatever it is that you have for a trap, because maybe your scent is still on it. So, pumpkin time. All right, here he comes. Little old innocent pumpkin comes along, hopping, 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 jump over the log and jump to the other side. Dang, dang, dang. Ah. Well, that's why you test these things out. Practice makes perfect. It did a job on the pumpkin. The counterweight didn't fall, but it did fall once I like moved a little twig and it wiggled. So I think an animal falling into the hole, that's pretty proof positive that that would have done him in. And one of these is even coming through on this side right here. So I'd say that that thing did its job. That was quite the thick pumpkin as well. I mean, it could have been better rigged. I did it pretty quickly, so that's pretty awesome. I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Fowler out. Always fill in your divots. Ah, I love this shovel.